What's up guys, Jake with Legacy 4x4 here again, and today we're back working on my do-it-yourself square drop, teardrop style camper trailer. So today we're going to be focusing on getting the roof and the roof insulation all installed onto this trailer. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so if you've been following along with the last 2 or 3 videos of skinning the trailer that I've been doing, we are working on getting the exterior skins and interior skins of this trailer all buttoned up and installed. This is a crucial step, so I'm taking my time with it, and it is taking me quite a while to do, but that's okay. I'm really happy with how it's looking. So for this, as I talked about in the other 2 videos, we are using a 5mm sanded plywood, this plywood here, for the exterior and interior walls. And then we are insulating it with 1-inch rigid foam insulation with an R value of 5. So we're basically going through, I rough cut the plywood to shape, glue it on using some Loctite PL3 adhesive, and then I do some sheet metal screws kind of strategically placed to help clamp this into position. I also am using obviously regular clamps to hold everything into place while that glue sets up. Now it's kind of a slow process waiting for the glue and cutting everything by myself here in my now very crowded garage, but we are making really quick progress. We've got both sides done, the interior all done, and now we've got to get the roof done. So we're going to move on to doing the roof, and then I've got to button up a couple pieces like back here and in the front of the trailer as well. So that's going to be today's project. So without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get started, and I'll catch back up with you guys in a second when we get a little bit of progress made. So we've made pretty good progress thus far, and I've got most of the front all done, and I've started working on the center section of the roof. Now the center section of the roof is probably the most time consuming of all of these parts, and I would definitely say for all of the roof, especially the interior pieces, if you have a friend, bring them. This would be so much easier with the second set of hands to have somebody to hold the panel into place while I drill some holes through it so that I can screw the panels into their positions with the glue behind them. Now with the way everything is, there's no real good way to clamp this into place. So I kind of have to press it up, clamp it as best I can, screw, and then move on. So it's been kind of time consuming to get all of these pieces into place up here, but we're making progress and we're almost done. Right now I'm running the wiring. As you can see, I've got the wires for the porch light sitting out here, and I'm tidying up the top. So I've got the 2 interior lights all wired up, and I'm about to wire the fan and cut the hole for the fan opening next. So that's what we're working on. This is, like I said, really slow going, but I'll turn the camera on. I'll try to get it up there so you guys can see this process, and then we'll keep moving along, and I'll catch you guys up in a minute. So we got that part done. It was hard to get you guys up there to see where I was on the roof, but we got that all finished up. We have 1 panel left back here, and then we have the 2 front door panels that I forgot about, but we have 1 panel back here left to do. Now this is kind of like the very last, not even kind of, this is the very last panel that's going on this trailer. So I have no way to clamp it. I realized a mistake, and I have no cross supports here to even drill into. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make this panel on the table and then install it with I'm going to install it from the top down once it dries. So I've got to cut down this 1 sheet of plywood, and my very last sheet of plywood actually. Cut this down to the right size to cover this distance here, and then I'm going to cut out some foam and then cut out the other side of the plywood, sandwich it all together, clamp it up really tight, and let it sit for a few hours. After it sits and it's all completely dry, I will then flip it and force it into this little space here. kind of making like a keystone type effect. There's gonna be one more little piece of foam and a little strip of wood I gotta do on the inside just to cover up where the wires are, but we'll do that later on. So now I've gotta make this last panel, clamp it, put it on the table and let it rest for a little bit, and while it's resting, I will do the two front panels as well as route out the roof for the air vent. So I'm gonna cut this down and we're gonna keep moving.
Can anyone just catch me before I drown? Can anybody make me feel like I'm not a stranger tonight?
All right, so we are done for the day. This was yet again another 8-hour day. So again, if you're doing this or if you're taking on this project yourself, I'm doing this really quickly. I actually took leave from work in order to knock this out kind of quickly because I want to take a trip with this here in like a month and a half. So I don't have very much time to do this. So I've gotten this far in about 2 full weeks of work. The first 2 weekends and then the last 3 days I've been on leave. So we are mostly finished yet. The only panel I don't have on is the one that's on the welding table. That is for that rear section. It is drying. It's still too tacky to try to hang because I don't want it to like separate even a little bit. So I'm gonna let that just rest overnight and I'll put it on tomorrow. But we have the trailer all finished up, as you can see. Now, it was described by some of my family as looking like a Pinewood Derby car, and honestly, looking at it now, it does look an awful lot like that. There's a lot of sharp edges to it. There's a lot of angles and corners and stuff like that, but I really like the way it looks. Now, granted, I still need to route out these doors, the window, the fan, and a couple other things, but we'll do all of that tomorrow. I'll do a whole video just on finishing this and prepping it for the next step after that, which is gonna be paint. So I really like the look of it though. I will say one little comment just from having done this myself now. These sharp angles are definitely complicated and they're gonna leave gaps where water can in fact seep in. So I'm gonna have to make sure I do a lot of really heavy waterproofing and waterproof wood filler to kind of seal up some of these, like this gap right here and up at the top. When it's all done, I might come through and add some trim pieces and some things like that. I wasn't originally planning on it, but if it looks like to me like it's not gonna be fully waterproof, I will come through and do like a plate up here and back there and a few other places just to tidy this all up so that it's all completely waterproof and it's got all the right trim on it. So we'll see what I do for that. Up on the front, I am gonna put a diamond plate type material up there. I haven't ordered any yet, but I'm planning on putting some diamond plate up there so that I have a nice smooth transition to this whole thing. But I really like the way this thing looks so far. So I'll get you guys off the tripod here and I'll take you around what we got accomplished today. Now, starting from the front, this is our storage box. So this is gonna be just raw storage up here. I'm gonna do 2 doors, one on each side of it. I did the storage box built into the entirety of the trailer because I want it to be the full width of this thing, which I couldn't find a box for a reasonable price that was that size. And I think it'll help the aerodynamics of the trailer ultimately. Moving over to this side, or moving up to the top because we did the roof today, we got our top panel in. We got our roof all the way in. This is the panel that we're missing. And then we got our back all finished up. I put a floor in the back. I put down 2 of the drawer slide mounts, which are these 2 pieces of wood here. That's where the drawer slides are gonna go for the cooler. And we got the back all tidied up. We also had to do a bunch of wiring. So because the wires are ran through the frame, I had to run some of them up there. So you can see I got the lights hanging right now. You got most of the wiring harness is right there on that back bar that's gonna get covered up when that panel goes in place. And then moving, it's gonna be dark in here. But moving into the inside, we've got our 2 lights, our cutout for our fan, and then on that far wall, we've got our 2 power outlets. So those are USB charger outlets. They're designed to work with a 12-volt battery and then designed to like charge phones, iPads, and things like that. So those are over on that side. That is the battery, actually, I'm using as a weight. And you can see the mess from all the work today. Now, this panel I'll install tomorrow. And then on this side, we've got that side all finished up over here. So that's the basic shape of it with no cutouts. Again, I really like how this is looking. That's what it looks like. So with all of that done, as you guys probably saw, some of these edges aren't perfect. Like I got this little edge right here. I got these edges up here aren't cut down yet. So we have a fair amount of finishing work to do. So I did the parts that I had to do as I was moving along to make the shape, but I still have a lot of finishing work to do. Namely, I've got to cut this whole edge down. If nothing else, I have to at least make it a straight line, and it can act as a wind deflector, but I got to do something with that. I got to come through and clean off these corners. I got to wood fill everything and then come through and sand the whole outside of this as if it were a Pinewood Derby car, and just sand this and make it as smooth as possible. I'm also going to go through and caulk the insides, caulk the bottom seam, and then caulk a couple places in the back of it as well with some silicone caulk that I have. So we're going to do all that, and then it's going to be ready for paint in the preceding video. So I'm really happy with this though. I think it looks great. There's definitely some things I would change if I would do it again. Like I mentioned in one of my earlier videos, I would absolutely use aluminum paneling. If I'd used aluminum paneling, this entire top could have been one solid sheet. And that would have been so much easier for what's gonna come in store for me tomorrow when I gotta come back out here and redo all of this work and all the finishing work. So it would have been nice to use one solid sheet of aluminum. It could have gone from all the way up here, all the way to the rear, really, really smoothly, but I didn't, so we used wood. Now, I am really happy with how it looks, like I said. I'm a little hesitant or a little hopeful. The wiring system on it is super simple. It's just 6 wires, and I hope I did it all right, because if I made any mistakes as I was doing it, or if I didn't get a good connection from my solder joints, then one of the electrical things is just not gonna work. And I have no way to fix it. There's no way to take these panels off. There's no way to get into the walls. So if I messed up the wiring somewhere, I'm gonna have to run exterior wiring. It's not the end of the world, it's not really expensive, it's just more of an eyesore, so whatever. My only tip for this part of the process is definitely get a buddy if you have one, and have them come help you with the roof, because it is kind of annoying to do by yourself, and it would be a lot easier to get it right if I had a second set of hands with me. Namely, like this panel is going to need some trimming probably before I install it. If I'd had a second set of hands, I could have done that and not had any mistakes on it. I definitely made some mistakes throughout it, and that was probably mostly just because I was rushing. If I had taken my time more on this, I could have made all of these edges exactly perfect, but I don't really have the time. I have to get this thing done as quickly as possible. So we're trying to shoot for a 2-week build on this, or 14 days of work total to get this trailer completely finished. So I'm happy with it for where it's at so far. The next video is going to be me coming through and doing all that finishing work, routering out the different parts that need to be routed out, and then after that's going to be paint. So we'll paint this whole thing, and then we're going to start installing some of the finishing touches, like our sunroof that goes right here, and then our fan and everything else that we've got to install. So I hope you guys like this content. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Sorry if I took any shortcuts as I was doing these skidding videos. Like I said, I was trying to do this really, really quickly, so I apologize if I didn't go into as much detail. If you have any questions about anything or the process that I did, feel free to leave any questions or comments down below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But we are really happy, or I'm really happy with where this is so far. This was 3 full days, 3 hard days, but 3 days of work, and we got the trailer basically. I mean, it feels like it's done now. It looks like a trailer, it feels like a trailer. I wheeled it outside, it's super easy to move around, so I'm really happy with how this is coming out. Just need to do some fine touching tomorrow, and then we'll be ready to paint it. I hope you guys like this. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.